morning. Happy new week. I hope you guys are doing well. Let me adjust this whenever I go live. It ends up going a bit more zoomed in. So, happy new week. Hope you all have had a beautiful weekend. We certainly had one of the best weekends in 2020 here. We finally finished setting up this house and we were able to head out to Burleigh Beach and spend a couple of sessions there on Saturday and Sunday. And then I was able to hang out with my kids one to one. I took my daughter on a mother-daughter date on Saturday, and then we went to gold class with my son and had friends over on Saturday nights for some social time and games. So all of that, and now I'm feeling fully refreshed and ready for another exciting week in business from the new head office. Actually, I need to turn my aircon on because it's getting really hot. The sunrise is from this side of the house, and then it sets behind in the afternoons. So today I want to talk about think. But let me open up my thing here. Think, plan, schedule, action, and results, because it's getting, certainly I encourage this to be started way earlier into the previous year. Like I did all of my planning in September, and that's when I normally do it for the following year. But I certainly think it's never too late. It's we're in November, and mid-November, actually, exactly mid-November, and you still have another 6 or 7 weeks of the year to get this sorted so that once we click into 2021, you know exactly what you're actioning and what you want to achieve and what that looks like in comparison to what happened this year. Now, this year has been a certainly different year where maybe you went backwards in your results because your business may not have been able to fully transition online. Maybe because you also were a startup and there just wasn't as much network built up at this point. Actually, this is what we were discussing last week at our masterclass with my authors, is that some of them who are in the really new stages of their business or their transition to something new, it has been very difficult to get that off the ground because there hasn't been kind of those foundations laid. And therefore, they've kind of just had to wait it out. So really it's about now, if this is how life is going to be for a little while longer, how do we plan around that? How do we build that, build up still a network, still connect with people and generate business for our businesses, right? So I want to go through 5 key points in terms of how I go through my planning and how I schedule things, and what I do and what's the order of things that happen as I'm doing that. I'm just going to cross check to make sure that this is all happening alive, to make sure that it's I'm not just talking to myself, because the internet was really, really patchy this morning with my personal training session. And okay, beautiful. Yeah, I think it's all happening. Excellent. Okay, so think, plan, schedule, action, and the results. So let's start with the think aspect of it. So before you do anything, and we talked about this at masterclass last week, is really we actually should be scheduling time for thinking, especially if you're the business owner. You want to be able to have times in your week where you just sit and think, or you go outside, wherever, maybe you'll allocate or anchor an area in your house that is purely for thinking. Actually, Walt Disney used to do this, whereby he would have certain rooms for certain activities. It might be a productivity area, which is this desk right here, where I sit down, I do the work, I do the emails. That's a productivity area. At this house, my thinking place is outside, not on the deck, but in the outside area. We don't have a deck here. It's just kind of an outside area. There's lots of seating. There's nature to look at. There is the pool. And of course, not when everyone is out there making a lot of noise, but when I can be just alone, I can just be in a more spontaneous place, if you like, because thinking, if we are going to be creative, we need spontaneity. So Spontaneity gives birth to creativity, whereas focus time gives that birth to productivity and getting shit done and actioning and putting things into place. So it's really, really important that you anchor certain areas for certain activities and that you schedule thinking time. So what are we going to do now in this thinking time ahead of any planning and actioning and all that kind of stuff? Well, you want to think, of course, and reflect upon what is happening or what has happened in 2020, but also then think about, do things need to change next year? Do I need to retweak my packages? My offers? Do I need to tweak up what activities I'm going to do? Do I need to stop? I love doing this. What do I need to stop doing? And what do I need to start doing more of? So this is all about decluttering your time on activities that are ineffective, so that you focus more and allow and make the room to doing more activities that do bring you greater results. So it's really important that we are always, if not writing it down and really like measuring things by writing them down, but you would know and have a sense out of where do most of your results come from. And you really need to declutter the things where you're wasting a lot of time and probably effort, but you're not getting as many results. Yeah. So it is really important to look at what activities, what am I doing, and what do I need to stop doing and what do I need to start doing. You need to have a look at, also things to brainstorm things whereby there might be new things you want to release. I always found this Christmas lead up into Christmas period and the January period, because it was such a spontaneous time of my year, to actually think about a new product, think about a new program that I would launch into the new year. Everyone would like to get in the new year. We're all motivated, with this fresh new start, and we want to take action on certain things, whether it's our health, getting better in our business, education, creating something that is going to add value to the people that you help most. So just think about, if every year you created something brand new that you released in the following year, how much more of assets and intellectual property you will be stacking on and building up in your business over time. Okay, so think about what new release you can create now that you have a little bit more time to sit down and be creative and more spontaneous. Then I want you to look at collaborations and think about, who are the people that have really helped me this year? Who are the people that I really want to connect with more next year, so that I can build deeper relationships to enable that the birth of collaboration with them to occur as well. So, is there your top 3 people you love collaborating with? Maybe you can have a meeting with them and talk about how you guys can continue collaborating in next year. And who are maybe another 3 people that you want to really get close to, because of course relationships take time to develop. So really think about, who are these people and what is it, what does that look like for your business, for their business, and how is it a win-win? So you're thinking about collaborations. And last of all, networking. You guys know I always come back to this one as the core action or activity that will build any business to very successful heights. And networking this year has been a virtual option for all of the different events and groups and things like that. So I want you to think about, what are the events that I've attended? Have they been effective for what I do? And have I been consistent? First of all, you got to ask yourself, have I been consistent in building the relationships with the people in these networks and all that kind of stuff? And what have I sort of got out of it? Not just in a financial sense or client sense, but what have I got out of it in terms of, my connections to help me out in terms of how I run my business, people that you end up getting help with in other areas. Like, through networking, I discovered my mortgage broker, my financial advisor, my accountant, other collaborations, rather than as many clients, right? But that all kind of worked out in the end because I spent the time and the effort to actually get out there and keep doing it. So that's one. And so let's recap the think aspect. We want to think about, do we tweak up our packages? Do we, what activities do we need to start doing? So again, thinking time. And what new releases might you bring out and launch into 2021 that you will create over the next 6 to 8 weeks? What are the collaborations you've been a part of, and what are some new ones you can start developing? And last of all, the networking aspect. What has really worked? What do I want to stop doing? What do I want to start doing, but not stop fully? If some of your networking groups have not worked out as much, or you just don't feel they are a good match for your personality or business, then you need to pick up, when you drop one, you need to pick up another one, right? You don't just fully stop, especially if you're 0 to 3 to 5 years in business, because networking will be the bloodline of relationships, opportunities, collaborations, and clients, right? Really, really, really important. That's the think aspect of it all. Secondly, we're moving into plan. Okay, so planning. So first of all, with planning, I want you to set some intentions. When we talk about planning, we want to really commit to being consistent. Okay, commit to being consistent with our plan and the activities that we're going to put in our plan, right? Because if you are not consistent, you're going to also have very wishy-washy results. Yeah, wishy-washy results that are like, it goes really red hot now, and then it's like really random and or a dead period, right? So your intention with your plan is that you are going to commit to consistency, and that you are going to also think about lead up times. Okay, so if you want to execute an event, a retreat, a webinar, online programs and things like that, you got to think about that your plan has to work. You have to work backwards from those big dates, if you like. Work backwards to put your plan into effectively executed, because otherwise, if you don't have lead up times of activities that are going to lead in towards those seminars, online programs, retreats, whatever it is, then you're not going to fill them. You're not going to get the bums on seats, and therefore it won't be as successful as it can be. So always building in buffers and thinking about lead up times. Now, online stuff needs shorter lead up times versus offline stuff. So really, when we start promoting an online event, we give it 2.5 weeks max, sometimes 7 to 10 days. When we're promoting a face-to-face event, we are doing a 4 to 6 week lead up, and if it's sometimes in a place where we haven't been before, it might be even up to 8 weeks. And this is, I'm talking about the lower end events. If I'm talking about the higher end events, of course, the lower end ones fill the higher end ones, which means the higher end one gets started to be promoted 6 months ahead of time, with obviously the lower end ones. All right, so I just want to cross check here on my computer that my voice is coming through, because it's really, okay, yes it is. Okay, cool, excellent. All right, so let's move on to the next one. So we've gone through think, we've talked about plan, which is planning, to schedule, to be consistent, but also to have the lead up times and to work backwards. This is why I plan in September for the following year, because I think planning a lot in advance always cuts out any nasty surprises, right? So if I know what's going on, I also have the time allocated to react or respond to hiccups, and to what am I going to do here, and have I got enough time to get this done, or do I have enough time to implement another strategy so I can make this a success? Yeah. So you got to have the time or the buffers to fix something if something doesn't go according to plan, or you don't have as great a response as you thought you would. Yeah. So the following one is then to schedule. And I love using two types of calendars. My week-to-week one, which is my little it's my week per view calendar. Diary. There, and I can see what I've got morning, afternoon, evening, and all that kind of stuff. Of course, this is not one of those. Not yet has been filled out, and of course, it's got a to-do list at the bottom. So I keep adding on to that and schedule things. And I'm very protective in terms of what I schedule. So become very protective of what you schedule, because the other mindset you need to get into is the mindset of what gets scheduled gets done. So for me, if I schedule something, it has to get done. So therefore, I need to be very, very careful what I put in, because you can't say yes to everything and everyone and then overwhelm yourself. Because one of the things about being consistent is making sure that you stick to your plan and you're very protective of what you schedule. So first of all, I use a week per view, as I said, diary that I created myself. I actually recreated this as evergreen. I'm just still waiting on the copies of the planners to come in. And then I can see what's morning, afternoon, and evening. They don't make styles like this very much, and that's why I created my own one. And so with that, the second calendar I use is the massive Sasco one at Officeworks. That's the year per view. It's like a whiteboard, and you can wipe things off, and you can sort of play around until you set kind of when your activities are happening. And that's the one that kind of goes on my wall. I don't have one yet at this house. At this house, I've just got my little what's it called, like a cork board and a whiteboard that I've put up on the wall here. But they're the two ones that I like to look at, because I like to look at things, you know, sort of, it looks like this. So the Sasco ones, actually there's a repeat one, a small version one. So obviously, because I don't have one in this house, so that's kind of what a yearly one would look like. And in these little planners, I have set aside 2 years worth. So this is my 2021, right, where I've scheduled all my, you know, breaks, holidays, retreats, half-day workshops, whatever, #1 bestseller, Amazon campaigns that I'm helping my authors with, my master classes, school holidays, all that kind of stuff. So that's already scheduled, and at home in Victoria is also on the whiteboard back on the wall. But as I travel, I have that version also in my little planner, so that I can also look at, you know, what are the things and how can I plan around them if and should I need to. So make sure that you're scheduling in your holidays. That's my first thing that I actually do, is I actually wipe out the weeks and the times of the year that I do family holidays and school holidays. And in addition to the planner and the scheduling, I use an app called Alarmed on my phone that reminds me of certain things in terms of what I need to be doing and all that sort of stuff. So really, really, really important to work on that, so that you can see it all. And trust me, the feeling is going to be the feeling of overwhelm when you start to schedule and to do things, and it's going to be crazy. All right. So just get it done, and then just tell yourself, just one day at a time. Just one day at a time, because when you schedule so many things, you go, oh my God, I've got to do 6 masterclasses, 4 retreats, 40 half-day workshops. And when you start to look at it that way, it's way too overwhelming, right? So you just bring it back and just go, okay, now it's a whole year. It is a long time, and you will get it all done. It's just that you have to, at one time, you've got to spend the time just mapping it all out. So the calendar is about mapping it out. As I said, year per view, week per view. If you like, do month per view as well. These little, I haven't used them very much, but at the start of every month, there's also like a month view of what's happening. I don't use it, to be honest. I like the week per view and year per view, and I just go from one to the other and kind of flick through my pages, because there's not enough in the little boxes to actually write in what am I going to do for the month. So the following one is action. Okay, so now that you've scheduled everything, it's time to get to action. Okay, and so many people, as I said, kind of like they don't take their plans. They take them. They're half-assed about their plans. Yeah, now if I feel like doing it now, I'll do it, and another time I can't do it. I'm too busy. Other things have taken priority. But as I said, we need to commit to that phrase: what gets scheduled gets done. And by being protective of what you put in, you'll also won't overwhelm yourself in terms of what you need to get done. So um, start to take that very, very kind of seriously in your mind. And just remember that the biggest commitment you can make is the commitment that you make to yourself. Okay? The biggest commitment that you can make is the commitment that you make to yourself. So if you break that, you're kind of what is it? You're breaking your word to yourself. Like, you wouldn't let other people down when you've promised them you're going to do something. So why would you let yourself down? Don't do that, okay? Because it's not a nice feeling, and that is, when you do what you say, you're also practicing self-worth and self-respect. And by practicing those two things, they're key ingredients of what successful people practice and those that get and achieve their results. So remember, what gets scheduled gets done. And the last thing is then results. So when you get to the point of then seeing the fruits of your labor, yeah, what is it that I have now achieved as a result of actioning, planning, scheduling, and thinking? What is it that I have, achieved, right? Because results will also tell us a story. They'll either tell us a story that we need to significantly change what we're doing, or maybe just tweak what we're doing. And if you can start writing down from your actions what your results are, then consistently you'll be more accurate. So you won't be guessing. Maybe you haven't been doing that so far. So when you're reflecting upon this year, it might be a little bit of a guesstimate. But when you have started to measure, then I guess my encouragement to you from today is to start to measure your activities. You go to a networking event, maybe you meet with a few great contacts, maybe you also connect with a potential client, maybe you start up a collaboration. Document all of those things. And I used to have this marketing activities book. It was like every week I would write down what are the things that I did to sort of get the word out there for my business and to connect with people. And sometimes the results from your activities don't come until a bit later down the track. That's why by having this kind of, it was one of those folders that you can file away pages and then you can flip them through, like with the little inserts. So then I could flick through it easily rather than having, say, a computer file. I always like to mix up the physical, the tangible and the intangible. Like the intangible being kind of like a computer file you can open to look at your results. But sometimes that is really, you have to click and find the file and look at it and update it. Sometimes just having a physical book where you can just kind of even handwrite some of the things that you're doing. You can then flick through very easily and just kind of go, oh, this is what I need to do. Oh, this happened from this opportunity. And you're starting to document all of those different things, and it really makes a different difference to how you, how you do it or continue to do it and what you stop doing. Okay, so marketing activities and actions that we take on our plan are not immediate. So you're not going to be able to document a result in like a week or even 2 weeks sometimes. Sometimes it's months. Sometimes it's a few weeks, sometimes 6 to 12 months, sometimes it could be years. Of course, going back years is kind of like a long shot. Kind of you're not going to reflect and flick back through that. But at least if you're kind of looking at the results you're getting from the last 3 to 6 months of activities, then you will be able to tweak and adjust what you're doing or drop some things and allow other things to come into your life. Because sometimes we could just get so familiar with a certain activity or going to a certain event, and you're in your comfort zone, but it's really not serving you or your business. So you really need to stop doing that. But you just get used to it. So you really kind of at times going to have to say, I need to stop doing this and start doing something else so that I can get different results. So measure and then tweak your actions. Just like when you're hosting any seminars or you're working with people, you adjust how you do stuff, you adjust your systems, you adjust your way that you interact with people or the tasks that you send them. So really, really important that you reflect and look at those results and then kind of make and think again. Okay, so we've come full circle and we're coming back now to thinking. So once you've looked at your results and you're tweaking, well, it's about sitting again in your thinking spot and then rethinking the package, rethinking the system, rethinking your actions towards it, and then relaunching the new way that you're doing stuff and updating. So it kind of always goes in that full circle of think, schedule, plan, action, results, think, schedule, plan, action, results. So I trust that this has been of value. And this is kind of like a really short version of what I'm now planning to do. Like I literally came up with this a week ago as I was getting ready for our masterclass last week with my authors for our last one for 2020. And a few years back, I decided I would run a planning day at my house, actually, for 10 people. And I would invite them and we'd feed them, water them, and do a full implementation day. We called it a VIP planning day. Now I'll just call it a planning day. So I actually decided this year, because I've been doing everything on Zoom and it's been very effective and I've been able to reach far and wide without needing to get people to travel. The funny thing was when we did these planning days at my house in Victoria, a couple of people from Queensland flew down purely for the day to be there, do their stuff, and then went back home that evening. So on the 3rd of December, I'm going to host the next planning day, and it's going to be a full day, like a 9 to 5 Melbourne time, and it's going to have 4 90-minute segments. Within each 60 minutes will be education, just like what I've done for like 25 minutes right now, and there's going to be some tools that I'm going to get people to get before they are ready for this day. And I'm going to teach them stuff for 60 minutes, and then they're going to implement for 30 minutes. Then we're going to have a break. Then we're going to do it again for 60. So there's 4 lots of 90-minute segments, if you like. 9 to 5 with half an hour morning tea, afternoon tea, and a midway hour lunch, just like any face-to-face seminar would run. And the things we're going to go through on this day I'm just going to read through let's do to recap. So first of all, we're also going to think about everyone's theme for the year. What's going to be your theme for 2021? Okay. And what are you going to focus on most? For us, 2020, the theme was sales. Okay. Last year, it was publishing, because we wanted to really turn it into a really well-oiled machine. And so we always pick something different. It could be also a theme around your life that your business is going to support. So we're going to talk about what that looks like. Then we're going to look at income streams and how to unpack them and how to set new targets so that you can reach your income streams. The following thing is we're going to think about what marketing activities there are and that you want to do and will do in 2021, and how many. So we're going to be very specific around everything. And then we're going to put that plan into place. And then we're going to do the calendar planning in the second half of the day, as well as your customer journey plan. Okay, so, when a customer starts to interact with you, from not being a client to turning into a lead to a prospect and then becoming a client and ongoing, the lifetime value, what does that journey plan look like? So we are going to do all of that. So if you're interested in jumping, I'm opening this up not just to my in-house authors, but I'm opening this up to anyone who wants to do their planning for 2021, and you want to go through a properly organized process and do it with other people, as well as, get my assistance. Then private message me for more information, and I'll send you what all of that looks like. And then we can get you organized. So it's going to be, I think it's a Thursday. I'm just going to triple confirm for you. The 3rd of December is a Thursday, 9 till 5 Melbourne time. Okay. And we're going to do a massive implementation planning day. All right. So that's me for another Monday morning. I hope this is giving you some tips and ideas on how to think about the cycle of planning and execution and action and results. And have an amazing week. And like always, Smash it up. Bye, guys.